Hey y'all, this is Moni.
And this is Kat.
Hey Kat. And this is the Fake Ass Book Club. Wait, can we both say it or no?
Hey everybody, this is your girl Moni.
And this is Kat.
What's up, guys? Welcome back to the Fake Ass Book Club. Another fantastic week and another fantastic book pick. How excited are you, Kat?
I'm very excited to talk about this. I've been I'm excited.
Been waiting. Well, good. Yeah. Well, good. I'm glad. I'm not the only one, you guys. We have a fantastic book today. I say that every week, and I mean it. We've got James Baldwin.
They haven't all been
and
fantastic.
Beale. Well, I'm always excited, and they always start fantastic. Okay. So don't do this.
Do
all right. Don't do that.
Don't do that.
It is If Beale Street Could Talk, you guys. I don't know. I love him.
Mm-hmm.
I love James Baldwin. I actually read this book a really long time ago. I don't even remember exactly how old I was, but I know I was still a teenager. And so it was really interesting going back and reading this story now. And so I'm going to let Kat do a movie trailer statement for you guys to get you enticed and ready to explore the world that James has created for us. Kat, can you cue the music?
Told through the eyes of Tish, a 19-year-old girl in love with Fonnie, a young sculptor who's the father of her child, Baldwin's story mixes the sweet and the sad. Tish and Fonnie have pledged to get married, but Fonnie is falsely accused of a terrible crime and imprisoned. Their family set out to clear his name, and as they face an uncertain future, the young lovers experience a kaleidoscope of emotions, affection, despair, and hope.
My goodness.
It's a mouthful.
It is. And it was just, yes, this was such a good love story. And I'm happy to explore this little mini universe real quick here with you guys. So hopefully you're excited. And
I'm always excited
before we
to
actually
talk.
Well, yeah, duh. This is the excuse, right? This is what we're here for.
Mhm.
But I want to go ahead before we get to talking too much, you guys. I want to dedicate this episode, you guys, to each and every one of you for listening. We appreciate you guys all the time. We truly, truly mean that. Thank you for the support. Thank you for listening. Also, I just want to dedicate this episode to Black love and the Black family. And yeah, that about sums it up. What about you?
I'm dedicating this one to a friend of mine that I grew up in the neighborhood with that I kept thinking about while I was reading this. And his name was Gary. And he was a lot older, he was the boy next door. He was older than me. I was so young, but I had a crush on him. And he was always just so sweet to me. He knew what was going on, but he was always appropriate and everything. And he was arrested and falsely imprisoned, and I never knew what happened to him. So I never even let myself think about him. And this book made me think about him. So this one's for Gary. I hope you're somewhere okay.
Oh my goodness. That's what's up. Oh my gosh, that's dope. I like it.
Yeah.
Well, I feel appropriately dedicated. That was really good. So dedication over, you guys. Yeah. So let's just dive right in. So I've been waiting to read a book or feature a book on the podcast of James Baldwin, because I feel like he's one of my all-time faves. I love seeing old clips of him speaking. He was such an orator. Is that how you orator, right?
Yeah.
I always feel like I'm saying it weird, but he was just he was good at talking.
Yes, he was very good at talking.
So good at talking. And I love to hear it. And so, and just a lot of profound, I love the way his mind worked. And his social commentary was very on point, and he was very swaggy. That is correct. Yes, his style was unmistakable. So I want to talk a little bit about him. Hold up. So this book, before I talk about James Baldwin as a person, this book is a fictional book. It's kind of a love story, and definitely specific to the African American experience. I found that this book was published in June of 1974, and I found 197 pages. I don't know what.
And you know
your
what?
fraudulent
Amazon told me
information
this
came
one was
through.
like the act. Oh, but you know what? It was the international version because it told me it was the actual
Ah,
page number.
what'd
I
he say?
had
What'd he say? What'd he say?
210.
Wow. Okay, well at least that's like pretty close.
It's not the same
197,
number though. That's the thing about
210. It's
math.
not.
Like
Think about how cool it's going to be when we actually get the same number,
it
though. We're going to have
will.
fireworks or an explosion or something. It's like, finally.
Yeah. Yeah. So but that's the thing about the audiobooks. Like I mean, did you actually read it or was it audio?
Back in the day, I read it, but
Okay.
I listened to the audiobook, and it was cute because when I talked to you earlier, you were like, yeah, I had to listen to it at
Like
almost 1.5
yeah.
speed because the narrator was like, had a very slow, deliberate speech pattern, unlike
And you
myself.
know what? Really, it would have been fine if this like took place in the South, but this was in New York.
It's like, let's go, let's talk,
Like
let's talk. They get it,
it,
spit it out.
it's like this is not how people in Harlem talk.
Nah,
Ah,
nah, fam. They talk real fast. I barely know what's going on. So, and I mean, and I talk fast. So
right.
from, I listen fast as well. So it is, it was funny to me because I did have to speed it up a bit. So know that listeners, you may have to speed it up if you're listening, on an audio book, but I didn't think the narrator did a bad
Nah.
job because that's an easy
Yeah.
fix. So, but back to James Baldwin, you guys, I'm gonna give you a little bit about him. He was born in 1924, died in December of 1987, which was I was like, damn, I was like alive,
Mm-hmm.
which was crazy in the 1900s, just like him. So he was an American writer and an activist. And as a writer, he garnered acclaim across various mediums, including essays, novels, plays, and poems. Baldwin's protagonists are often, but not exclusively, African American, and gay and bisexual men frequently feature prominently in his literature. These characters also often face internal and external obstacles in their search for social and self acceptance. Don't we all?
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, I like that. I think this is one of the factors that I like about his book is that a lot of the dilemmas and things that come up in his books seem socially relevant even now. So it is, yeah, it's always a pleasure to read. So I'm excited to dig into this. So do you want to tell the listeners like a little bit, like I know you gave the movie trailer statement, but just as far as the plot goes, do you want to kind of break that down for our listeners?
Yeah, man. So can I just
I
say
know,
though,
right?
this was a struggle. Like I actually
Was
it
it?
was a struggle. Like I agree with everything. He's an amazing writer. It's like too good. Like
Mhm.
this was painful. Like I was
Oh my
experiencing
goodness.
like real
That's how you know it's
I was
good.
experiencing like real emotional pain. So I just stopped. Like I stopped listening to it and just went to a summary of the book. So I just knew what happened. Because actually
Shut
going
up.
with it through the characters was like hurting me.
So tell me, okay, so listen, I want to give the listeners sort of
Oh no, I know what
before I
happens
ask you that.
though.
Okay, no, I was going to say let's just do the summary real quick, but I do want to touch back on like why why was it such a hard read for you? Like what exactly, what was it tapping into? So that could be interesting.
Yes, it's our main protagonist is Tish. And
Mhm.
yeah, she's very young, in
Yeah.
love with a boy
19.
19 with her, childhood sweetheart. Like they were friends from the neighbor. Like that was her buddy. I love the story of them actually like getting into like kind of like a tussle and how that
Yeah.
played out. Like to me, that was just all very relatable. These are all things where I'm like, this is
Mhm.
very much like the street I grew up on. Like just the
Yeah.
relationship that people had to each other. Um, so basically she's in love with Fonnie, and she comes from more of a loving household than he does. Like he has a mother and father in the home, but his mom is just she's just not really made to be a mom. She doesn't really seem to enjoy the job. She just feels like she's supposed to. And so she's one of those people who puts on airs. Like she wants everyone on the outside to kind of like envy her, but inside it looks like it wasn't very happy. And she was also like lighter skinned, and Fonnie did not turn out that way. So it seems like she favored her lighter daughters more than her darker son, who looked like his father. So that was like a just a little background there. But so once they find out her once and okay, so Fonnie gets locked up He's falsely accused of raping a Puerto Rican woman. And so while he's in jail, Tish finds out she's pregnant, tells him. When she tells his family, they're upset, or his mother like curses her. And the sisters also don't like the news. And it's kind of because Tish is dark too. So they kind of feel like, dang
Mm-hmm.
it, it's like y'all are going to just make these nappy headed babies. And we're just not, they don't say that, but that's the subtext.
It's implied.
And you get those messages a lot. So it plays out. Bonnie's dad ends up smacking Bonnie's mom and like in front of everybody, and then goes off drinking with Tish's
Oh my
dad.
God.
And then they end up having to go, the lawyer, because Tish gets a lawyer for Fonnie, and informs them that the woman who has accused, who is accusing Fonnie of rape, has moved back to Puerto Rico. They end up sending Tish's mom to Puerto Rico to look for him, or to look for her. She ends up having a miscarriage and being like losing her mind and going off to a sanitarium, and everyone's like, you're never going to see her again. So she comes back to the States, lets everybody know. Everyone has different reactions to it. They mostly feel like it's going to hurt their case because they're not going to have a lot of the key witnesses. The police
Oh, wait
officer,
a minute. So remember though, like, so the sisters testified against him, his character, which was really messed up. That did not help the case. I was like, that was
yeah,
trash.
they were trash. Yeah, there
Mm-hmm.
were so many things just working against him. And the book, it ends, it kind of does and it doesn't. You don't know what ends up happening. Like there's hope of him getting out, at least getting bail, because it
Mm-hmm.
looks like the trial is going to be postponed indefinitely, which isn't good. You want to be able to, I mean, it ends with her, with the baby being, she has the baby and the baby's born healthy, and you don't know if he is out or not.
If he's out before the baby's born or what.
Right. Like
Yeah.
you just don't know. But you also get the feeling that because he now understands the situation, he knows he'll never really be free. If he gets out of jail, they could still always just lock him back up for anything.
Yeah.
So that was, yay.
Yeah, that was a nice work, Kat. Thank
thank,
you for the
thank
summary.
you. Thank you.
Yeah. So of course you guys know, like if you listen to this show, very rarely are we, recounting every single part of the book. We always get caught on one part and go off on tangents. It's part of our charm. But yeah, I would say largely this book, I mean, there's so many different themes that it touches on. I think at its heart, it's a love story, which I really like. And is why like I wanted to dedicate this episode to Black love because I think the lived Black experience, especially in America, you always have the subtext of racism. Like you had the elements of Fonnie being falsely accused and incarcerated. And they even touched on his friend who was incarcerated unjustly and was in jail for 2 years. And he was psychologically like fucked up from that. He was
Yeah.
having like
Wasn't he gang
PTSD.
raped?
Yeah, he was gang raped in jail
Yeah.
and stuff, and he was thrown in there without, I mean, it wasn't even anything he did. They beat his ass too, trying to have him change his
Yeah. Flip
testimony
on his
in Fonnie's
buddy. Yeah.
case. You know what I mean? And it's like there's all of these. Again, it's that sweet and sour kind of mix. Like you're getting a lot of, the social injustice parts, and and even just like the colorism and shit like that with Fonnie's mom. Her feeling like, and she was super churchy and hypocritical and just overall terrible, and just sort of in the midst of all of that, you have these two young people who really seem to be in love with each other. And it was just really sweet because I feel like I like how the story is so it's told from Tish's point of view. And it's like while the events are unfolding, she's kind of telling you the history of her and Fonnie and like how they grew up living across the street from each other. And just, you get to it's I mean, it was just so perfectly, the story was so well written, and the characters I felt like were really they felt real, they felt realized. You don't feel like you don't know them. Like I felt like I knew
Not like
them,
milk in my coffee.
It was not like that at all. It definitely was
Yeah,
not
I
like that at
liked
all.
the main character.
And this is a man also
Hmm.
writing about, from a woman's point of view, which I don't think happens in a lot of his other books. A lot of his books are told from, a male perspective. So I thought it was interesting that this one was from a female perspective. And I think he did a pretty good job. I mean, you can definitely tell that this book was written,
I do like
a long
the
time
way
ago.
he writes realizations, like when the characters are
Mm,
finally confronted with realities. Because there's even a part where Tish, because and I agree, he wrote her very well, because she felt very
mm,
real to me. I'm like, yeah, that's how I felt a lot when
you
my
know,
because when I was pregnant with my son, like I don't know if you remember this, like my ex did get locked up for like just a little bit, and it was I remember just laying on the floor. I couldn't do anything. Like when I found out, it was just brutal. Cause
like devastating.
yeah, like
Yeah.
cause I didn't know what had happened. I didn't know if he was getting out. It's just like just seeing so many people over time, like either, you know, there's so many ways for us to, get fucked up as black people in America. But for me, one of like the scariest is prison. Like
Yeah.
it's like the white people built a hell to put us in, and it's so effective, like when they're talking about his mindset and how, I mean, and it's something that's been described to me from people who've done like long bids in prison about how you have to change. Like he said, he wasn't pulling away from Tish, but he was like, he's not with her anymore, because he's like, I can't
Hmm.
survive this the way that I survived being on the outside. I have to have a different entirely mentality to survive in here. And a lot of people talk about how it's a lot of times sometimes easier to do the time without connections to the outside world.
I can see that.
Yeah, because you're taunted with it a little bit, like just being
It's a
so close.
reminder.
Like was I don't know if it was this. Yeah, it was this where they were like, I hope no one ever has to experience having glass in between them and the person they love.
Yeah.
Like that part,
That was
like,
this one.
yeah, took me out. Took
Gotcha.
me out.
Gotcha. Huh? Yeah. I mean, he just does, you guys, he does such a good job. Like if it does, and I think even if you don't, like if you don't come from a background where, maybe people who've been locked up or because where were they, in the Bronx or something?
Or Harlem, I thought.
Or
Yeah.
Harlem, my bad, I said that, Harlem. In New York, like it was, even though like I grew up in Detroit and like you grew up in Indianapolis, I mean, and I kind of grew up here too, but like when I think about my neighborhood stuff, I definitely think about Detroit. It feels it's super relatable. Like it's super relatable to, you know, I don't know, from because even just like the sense of community, that we had growing up too. Like I knew that if I got in trouble down the street and, our neighbors knew about it, they were going to tell my parents. Like you kind of got that feel that it was like a close knit neighborhood, and I really liked that this story highlighted, Tish having all of the love and support around her, even being like a teenage mom. They weren't shitting on her. Her mom was like, okay, we're
We know
gonna,
what it
we're gonna
is.
help you do
Yeah.
this. You know what I mean? And it's gonna be what it is. And I think partly too, because they knew Fonnie
Yeah.
and they already loved him, and he was more a part of their family
His
than he
own.
was his own,
Yeah.
since he was sort of an outcast. And
The
how many
literal
times have
black
you
sheep.
seen that? The literal black sheep. How many times have you seen
Yeah.
that play out? Like where that one person whose mama can't stand them. And, I feel like this resonates for me too, because I feel like, even if it wasn't like, oh, this person's parents hates their kids' guts, I don't know. My mom seemed to have some sort of I don't even know, like radar for those kids, and they like she was attracted to them, they were attracted to her. And I know my mom has been sort of a stand-in mom for lots and lots and lots of people over my life. So, I've just seen that play out, and I like how that illustrates that like sometimes your family isn't the family that you're born into.
Yeah.
I thought that was a,
Like chosen family.
kind of, yeah, definitely. Were you about to say something? I felt like,
Well, I was just thinking, because we were talking about neighborhoods and just the fact that, like, because the community you're describing, like in your neighborhood in Detroit, and like when I was growing up, like the community I felt when I was growing up, the what undercuts it is the fact that I saw it all destroyed with crack. Like I
damn,
saw all of it completely. Like that neighborhood doesn't exist anymore. Like it's
so
gone. I
sad.
saw it die. And like even like the story between Tish and Fonnie is beautiful. Like their love story is, it's gorgeous, but to me the book isn't a love story to me, it's a tragedy, cuz they don't get to be together.
Well, love is trash. That's the point about love, though, right? Like it's,
No,
I
like,
yeah, it is.
but
Yes,
I
it
mean, you
is
get to be with who
because
you love. Like, that's a beautiful love story. Like, when people, it would have been beautiful if they had overcome it somehow and got to be together. But because they had this fantastic love, like, this is someone who she wouldn't be able to have this bond with anybody else in the world. And so this person is taken from her and kept from her. The whole thing is about her trying to get to her love, which is kind of a nice
hmm
juxtaposition. We usually see the man like fighting for his woman, but this is this woman fighting for her man, never giving up
hmm
and growing a child. Like, it was like too much. I'm like, oh my god, like, you're already and you're 19. It was just too much. So I had to draw back because I'm like, oh my god, like, I'm already crying all the
I'm
time
triggered. I'm
anyway.
triggered.
So I was like, I can't. I'll just be a puddle because I'm thinking about, there's just so much loss. Like, we've lost our neighborhoods. We've lost so many of like our so much of our potential. And he wrote this in 74 and nothing's changed. Except now we
I
don't have
know.
Beale Street.
I know that is so sad. We
Yeah.
don't. Oh my gosh. Well, I guess for me too is I mean, I feel like love isn't always I mean, it is sad because I mean, love when I'm saying like love is a tragedy, I feel like um when you find it, you do have to hold on to it. But what's even sadder is that like the way that they describe the love between Tish and Fonnie, like you're saying, like they probably wouldn't find that outside of each other. But the fact that you had the opportunity to have that experience. Some people never.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So like it sucks. It sucks because obviously, you always want the happy ending and stuff. But I just feel like good stories never happen like that, you
Well,
know?
not real ones,
So to
sure.
me, you know what I mean? Like it's like of course
Because
they weren't able to be together or whatever, but
did you watch the movie?
I didn't. I need to though.
I started watching it and honestly could not get through the first couple minutes. When she goes to visit him in jail, I'm like, I can't. And it's like, it was
Oh my
it was
gosh.
just,
I've never visited anybody in jail ever.
yeah,
I've never had
it's
to.
brutal. And
I can
I've never had to
imagine.
do it pregnant. So at least there's
That would
that.
be even worse. Everything is worse pregnant,
Yes,
God.
everything.
Like
Everything's worse when you're pregnant. So, like,
except for brownies.
well, yeah, there's that.
Those are better.
That's true.
Mhm.
There's that.
I
But
don't even usually like brownies like that, but when I was pregnant, woo, they were good as
oh
hell.
my god, it was oh god, I like the part where she said that, about being when she was talking about shame and like the shame some people feel about when they're talking about like someone's in prison or they are
Oh
in prison.
yeah.
And she was like, we shouldn't be ashamed. The people who built this should be ashamed. Like, and I was
Right.
like, "Phew, you damn straight." I was like, that
Yeah,
was
there were some gems in there, man. And
it's
just even too like the community of people who like those women that took her in and stuff and who also had loved ones who were incarcerated and it kind of like transcended, it they highlighted that it wasn't just black people, it was like all different ethnicities and just sort of like demonstrating like that level of community and that camaraderie and that because that's a very specific sort of experience to have and it's nice to have people who've been through what you've been through
to talk
because
to, yeah, to have that
yeah to
support.
have those people to talk to and stuff like that so
And I
I
feel
just
like
felt
that
like
was a
that was a
big
theme
theme of,
throughout
I
it.
think that was a big theme of the book. The fact
Hmm.
that like these different quote unquote minority groups, I hate the term minority, like black and brown people are most of the people on the
The
planet.
majority in real life, yeah.
Like, and like your little patch of land might be mostly what we call white people, but if you look at the world at large, it's pretty brown. And
Yeah,
I liked the fact too that when her mom went to Puerto Rico,
that was
yeah,
wild.
to look for the I think her name was Mrs. Rogers. That was a woman accusing Fonnie of rape. And that was the thing, she wasn't even really
Hmm.
accusing him. Like, she was saying she was raped, and then in the police lineup they had like some white dudes, some light-skinned dudes, and one dark-skinned guy, because she said she was raped by a black guy. And so she just picked out the only black guy, even though he wasn't even near the scene at the time. And that
Right,
was the
because he was
part
with his
too that was
friend and
incredibly,
Tish.
yeah, that was one of the things that was incredibly frustrating. But one of the quotes I really liked that her mom, Sharon, said when she got back was, quote, "I don't speak no Spanish and they don't speak no English, but we on the same garbage dump for the same reason," end quote.
God.
And
This I'm saying, y'all, I'm saying like he gets you together because the social commentary is so real and it's so poetic the way he's able to articulate it, and you're reading it and it just feels like, damn, yeah, yeah,
I have
absolutely.
like read like listened to a lot of his speeches and conversations that he's
Sure.
had, like shout out to YouTube. And
Yeah, man.
I even have like a book that has a transcript of his conversation with Nikki Giovanni, and it's all really fascinating. I think that's easier for me to take in than narratives he writes, because
Mm,
being immersed in it is almost a little too much for me. Like it's like,
right.
yeah, I've been here and I gotta go. It's
Can't run from it,
yeah.
cat. Can't run from it.
That's the thing. I
No, I
can't. I'm
feel
not
you.
going to voluntarily go into it.
You can't run from it, girl.
I just can't. But one of the things I really love, because this was something he was showing, like the nice and not so nice parts of male female relationships. So we have the really
Mm,
abusive relationship that Fonny's parents have, and we have the more loving relationship that Tish's parents has. But even Tish, she has the realization, like, my mom is young, because Tish had,
mm-hmm.
she had Tish when she was really young, and Tish was only 19. Like, she was noticing her mom is still figuring stuff out. And that's one of the big
Right.
realizations of when you become an adult, of knowing your parents don't have all the answers.
No, hell no.
And that was that was really cool. But oh yeah, the
Yeah.
conversations he's having with Nikki Giovanni, because Nikki Giovanni was like, look, dude, Nikki Giovanni was having the same problem I'm having right now, which is I can't be in a relationship because they're far too abusive. Like, abuse is way too accepted in our
Mm,
community, and
mm-hmm.
I just can't. And he
Can't
was trying to
participate.
explain to her why men are this way towards her, and she's like, well, that's not my fucking fault. Like, is basically her response. It's like, I need you, you need me. Why can't you just put your bullshit aside? I need you. And why are you abusing me? We have the same oppressor. And he was trying to break it down to her, and what he was saying made sense, but also what Nikki was saying was making sense too, which is, so are you trying to tell me that I just need to take a bunch of bullshit off these dudes to help them? Because I don't think it's helping.
It's always like that though, and I think both things are true. I mean, I'm always that person because I, like you're saying, like you're when you're having a conversation and there's good points being made on both sides, it feels like you have to pick one, and I feel like it got to be in the middle somewhere, because if we see each other, then we should be able to figure this shit out. You know what I mean? But I feel like it's easier to default to the standard deviation of whatever is acceptable, because
What we've been doing.
that means you don't have to move, right? The bare
Right.
minimum. You know, you don't have to move. You don't have to be uncomfortable. And I think at the end of the day, we have to all be willing, especially in those kinds of relationships, to be uncomfortable for each other. Look at Tish. The fuck? Like, I mean, her being 19, maybe that made it easier for her to be more optimistic and hold on and stuff. But, add 20 years to the mix of raising a child by yourself, and, going through the muck by yourself without that support. Not saying that like it was his fault, but you know what I mean? Like, that has an impact on you. And, there's just only so much a person can take. So whether it's, a loved one being locked up, being a single parent, abusive relationships, whatever it may be, it's like, where do you draw the line when it comes down to like riding for your other person and supporting versus, putting yourself on the cross for somebody else? Like, where's the self-preservation part at? So I wouldn't recommend anybody be in any kind of relationship that's not, healthy, and that isn't reciprocal. Like, that shit is trash. I'm not doing that, because you can just be by
Yeah.
yourself. Like, there's always
Yeah.
that.
There's that.
You know what I mean? I'm a good time, so I don't even mind that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it because I don't want it to make it seem like I didn't think this is a good book. I think it was
This book was
a little too
fantastic.
good. And
This book was
it take you there a
great.
little too closer. And I kind of do wish I had read it like in high school before I'd been through some of this shit.
Yeah,
Like,
and
because that was the
maybe
thing. I was having a little bit of a trauma response. And it's like having
To
to
it,
keep
yeah.
reminding myself, like, you're okay. This isn't happening to you right
Right.
now.
This is not
And
you
it
right
just, it
now.
kept bringing that back. Especially the
Right.
stuff with Gary, because I was never allowed to talk about it. Well, not that I wasn't allowed. I
Mm.
mean, I didn't allow myself to talk about it. It was just one of those things where it's like this person who I saw every day of my life
Wow.
is just gone now. The police took him and he's just gone forever. And
It's
it's
fucking
almost
wild.
worse than death because, like, death makes sense. Like it's a natural part of life, but locking people up, and it always seems like it's like, of course, this is a memory of a child. I just remember him being so beautiful. And a lot of times too, when I see like things that are shot in prison, or you see men who've been formerly locked up, or you see men who were falsely in prison, and you see their old picture, a lot of times they're gorgeous, and sometimes I feel like that was part of the problem.
Maybe because that's funny you say that. Because think about the cop who was harassing them in the movies. I mean, in the movie and book, but the book.
Officer Wells, I
This
think.
particular cop, yeah, like he had an encounter with Tish when she was like they were together in line, and he left to go get some cigarettes, and this police officer, the one who ended up locking him up, was like in Tish's face, like really being aggressive toward her and stuff like that, and she ended up smacking him because he was being sexually suggestive and inappropriate. And Fonnie comes back, you know what I mean? And I think he was like trying to defend her, and they were acting like he was going, like they were going to take him away then. And the shop owner, of course, it took a white lady. I think for all intent and purposes, I think maybe she was Italian. I don't know if they were white back then or not, but this lady spoke up for him and basically was like, "No, I saw the whole thing happen."
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah,
Basically was
because
like, "I'll
the
get you
officer, I don't think
later."
it was the officer who was sexually harassing her. I think he was
Who
gonna.
was
It was
that?
some just guy, and then
Oh, that's
yeah,
right. It was a
but the
guy. My bad.
officer
And then
was
the police
going to
officer
lock
came.
Fonnie up for defending his woman, because it was
Yes.
like, hey, why are you
Yes.
harassing this white man? And it's like, well, this
Right.
white man, yeah,
Clearly.
because I don't think even she would have slapped a police officer.
Yeah, my bad.
Yeah,
I misremembered that, you
yeah,
guys.
yeah. This was
She
just
smacked
some rando.
a white
Yeah,
man,
some
yeah, in the
rando
face
trying to
for being
cop a
weird.
feel, and yeah, all that stuff. And then, like, yeah, he was, and just as a, we don't bring this up all the time, but that's an example of defending your woman. Like, that's, like it was,
That's
yeah,
definitely defending your woman.
yeah,
And I like that because, I do feel like that was a powerful part because a lot of the time, I think historically speaking, a lot of black men feel like they couldn't
yeah.
or
Well, he
you know what I
couldn't,
mean? In
like,
certain
that whole
he couldn't
thing. Yeah,
either.
that
Yeah.
officer got a hard
It
on for
was
him after that, and knew he was like, well,
yes.
I didn't get you. I'm gonna get you.
Yes.
Yeah, I'll get that ass next time.
Bitch, I'm about
Yeah,
to
like
get you.
that
I'm
was
out
that
for
was the
you.
officer's Wells ethos. And so yeah, he pins this rape on him because he didn't get to lock him up that time.
Yeah. And that
Yeah.
sucks. You know what I mean? Like I can't even like that shit right there is yeah, I mean that is depressing. That's super depressing. Our black men do have to deal with a lot of that
Yeah.
bullshit, especially when you just get these people in power who, for whatever reason, like you're miserable. You're flexing what little power you feel like you have to like destroy people's lives. It's pretty sad. Pretty sad.
It
So it
is.
was like their relationship was the bright spot in the midst of all of that stuff.
How
But
much did you like
I
the
really enjoyed it.
described sex scene between Fonnie's parents?
Ew.
How was
I
that
don't
being
think I
piped
like that.
directly into your earballs?
Yeah, that was kind of crazy. But
I actually had to
also
pause that part. I was like, whoa.
that the sex parts in the book are very descriptive. And also the one that really got me was Fonnie's dad and
Yeah,
mom.
that's what I'm talking about.
Is that what
Oh
you're
yeah,
oh
that's
okay.
what
I
I was
thought
talking
you
about.
meant Tish and
No, no,
them.
no,
I'm
no.
about to say that.
No, I'm
Okay.
talking about Fonnie's
That was
mom and dad.
that was uncomfortable. I was laughing.
I
I thought
was
it
too.
was,
I had to pause it
funny. I
so I
was
could
like,
have a
"Oh my
good cackle because,
gosh."
wow. I'm like, that felt like that was from something he overheard.
She was so holy that get she couldn't just be like, "Okay, I want to have sex." Like she had to pretend
She was
like
trying to save her
it was
husband's soul
save her husband. It's like, "I have to do
for you,
this." It's like,
Lord. It's
"Bitch."
like,
Right.
okay.
Ew. He's like, "You about to take this dick. Yeah, that's what you about to do. I'm about to be
I'm
your
about to be,
guy right
oh,
now."
God.
I said,
Whoa.
"Ew, this is." It was a lot. It
It
was. It was a
was.
lot.
And if I had to put in my notes, I was like, whoa.
Yeah, man, that shit was
Yeah.
it was pretty wild. But yeah, I still believe it was a love story overall. I feel like that's the part that keeps you from like going all the way into despair like Kat did. You know what I'm saying? Especially if you've not necessarily, like, if you're not triggered by these events, I feel like it's a nice balance. But I could definitely see how, you know what I mean? Like, yeah, but this is America too, though. Like, that's the other part. Like, it just feels like, Black folks mostly are just trying to extract as much joy as they can. That's why we're loud and we like to laugh and do stuff. And it's just like, we just trying to be fucking happy out here, man. We're trying, and everybody, there's a lot of systems working against and trying to make sure we're miserable. But it's just, I guess, even if it was just a slither, it was nice to see just like like a loving family, a loving relationship, and all the other social stuff was just his brilliant way of just like shining a light on these issues that exist,
Yeah, without
to
being
this
super
day.
heavy-handed too. He's just telling it like it is. That's all
Period.
it is. This is just I feel like another author who's we never read any of his books, but I like to. David Sedaris. He's a white writer from the South, and he's an
Okay.
older gay gentleman. And he's really good about writing about all these unspoken truths. Like even about how when he was growing up gay, he kind of
Mm.
knew, even though no one talked about it, he knew he couldn't be gay. And he was also
Oh
very
yeah.
outspoken about all the racism he observed, which was always to me very refreshing when I hear about it from white people, because so many white people act like it doesn't exist. So whenever there are
Right.
white
It's like,
people who acknowledge that it actually exists, I'm like, what? It's like,
oh my
yes,
God.
tell me more, white man. But yeah,
Okay,
I
maybe
did
we should
like
check him out.
this quote. I think this was Tish's mom. Quote, I had never thought about it like that before. Whoever discovered America deserved to be dragged home in chains to die. End quote. He never shied away
Damn.
from his critiques.
He went
He
in,
went
man.
in.
He
Yeah.
went in. He went in. I always like enjoy that a lot.
Yeah, he wasn't letting up on anybody, but that's because I think he did live a lot of his life in France at a certain
Yeah, I think
point.
he died over there
Yeah,
even,
because I mean, it's not safe over
or was
here.
buried over there. Yeah. And people, I think people from Europe will argue that it's not sweet over there either, but it's just
They
a
don't have as
very
many
specific
guns.
brand of
Yeah,
racism
they have
here. You know
like
what
I
I
don't think
mean?
their
So
police carry guns.
probably not. They got whistles and wear white
Yeah,
gloves and shit like in
yeah,
Japan. That shit was wild.
yeah. So I think you're just less. At least you don't have to worry about the police killing you.
Right. Or you can just throw
Right.
hands. Like I'll fight you in the middle of the street. Fuck it. I mean, especially if I know I can't get shot. You know what I mean? It's
Right.
like, let's just fight then.
Yeah. It was.
Here it's like I just gotta drive off. I don't want to be shot and murdered in my
Oh,
car
that was the
for
part that was like super sad but very accurate, because the lawyer was talking about like introducing into evidence that the officer Wells had killed a young black boy last year.
mm,
And Fonnie was like, that's going to hurt my case because they'll probably want to give him a medal. For
right. Please
keep,
don't mention that.
yeah, I was like, damn,
That's
why is
fucking
that
crazy,
exactly the
man.
same? I wish
It's
that was
exactly the
killing me. I
same.
was like, that was literally like, you know, was it 50 years ago?
Don't make me do math.
I feel like
Probably. Sure.
yeah, like it was published in 74. He wrote this. I don't know, man. I just
Yeah, that's about 50 years. You're right.
yeah.
I just slowly did the math. I was like, 21st
Carry the
yes, 50 for the
yeah.
3. And yeah.
Yeah.
You know what,
What's
though?
that?
I feel like we should take a quick
I
break
feel like
because we're just going to
I
keep
feel like you're
going.
correct.
All right, let's take a break. You guys, we're going to come back in a minute. Stay tuned. All right, guys, we're back from our
That was a
break.
good one.
It was, it was. So, how are you feeling, friend? I feel like this was a good book. Obviously, this was a tough one for you as far as just, feeling
Oh, my feelings.
just really kind of close to this book and having some similar experiences or whatever. If I asked you to rate this book, well, what would you give it?
I would give it 5 hot combs on my ear.
Damn, not those.
But
Damn.
it's
Okay.
useful and needed.
It is. That's that childhood vibe right there. That hot
Mhm.
comb. If you know, you
If you know,
know.
you know.
Okay. You know. I think if I had to rate it, maybe I'm giving it 5. I'm giving it 5 of those strawberry. What are those crumbly ice creams that you get from the ice cream truck? I used to love those.
A strawberry
It's like,
shortcake.
yes, I give it 5 of those.
I just
I
had
mean,
some.
since we're giving it the childhood vibes, those are good as
I
hell.
had an amazing strawberry shortcake today because it's Easter, y'all.
Did you
We're
for
recording on
real? It is
Easter.
Easter.
Happy
Happy Easter to those who celebrate.
But yeah, it was so good. Every time everyone ate it, they were like, "Oh, this is good."
This is real good.
This
It's
is
real
real
good.
good.
Oh my
I might
gosh.
actually
Did you cook
post it.
anything?
Heck no. I ain't do
Oh
nothing.
man.
We all pitched in and just got catering from Whole Foods. So nobody
That's
had
what's
to be
up, man.
overwhelmed. So yeah, it was very chill. But I wanted to tell all of our local listeners I'm doing a live paint at Fury for the Women's
Let's
Appreciation
go.
Dinner this Friday, April 22nd at, let's say 7 o'clock. I'll post the information. It's a Friday. The weather is going to be nice. So,
Okay.
I mean, come in it's always a good time to see y'all.
It definitely is. You guys check her out there if you get a chance to. I'll try to put the flyer up on our Instagram page. So
yeah, people can find it. And
check her
stuff.
out. That's what's
this
up.
was great.
This was a fantastic book, you guys. This is a must read. I definitely recommend this book highly. It's a beautifully written story. It's tragic and it's beautiful
Just
at the
don't
same
get
time.
pregnant and have your baby father go to jail. Just don't do that.
Yeah, it's really terrible.
Just don't do that.
Don't do it. Oh my gosh. Okay, so then should we spin the wheel for our next upcoming episode?
I think we should.
I spin it. Yeah.
Oh, good. Free space.
Yay. This is so dope, you guys. We are actually going to be talking to the lovely and talented Ebony Chappelle. She has a local podcast, which is called What's Good with Ebony Chappelle. And she is a multi-talented, award-winning journalist. And she's somebody who loves her community and somebody we admire. And so we cannot wait to talk to her. She actually invited us on our show. So you guys
on her show
are going to get... Wait, yes, that part.
You want to say it back?
See, this is why I keep you around. Nope.
Oh,
nope. I want them to know this is me. This is what I do. Okay. All right.
Okay.
This is all me right here.
It's
right?
nice when people you're a fan of are a fan of you. And
so dope.
Speaking of which, I'm a fan of you, Moni.
I'm a fan of you too. You know, I'm a fan of you guys too. Thank you for checking us out.
Yes.
Hopefully you come back next week and you rock with us again. I think you guys are going to like this. It's going to be a really good one. So stay tuned and be good to yourself, guys. And I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah, bye.
Peace.
Your body belongs to you.
Bye.
Before we go, we must give thanks to Urban Nerd for providing our music. Buzz Viral Marketing runs our social media, and legal services were handled by Trezanae M. Atkins. If you like what you heard, please feel free to join us every Wednesday for another fake-ass book club. Cheers.
Thank you guys for listening. You can check us out at thefabpodcast.com. Please subscribe, rate, and review our podcast wherever you're listening right now. We want to hear from you. Come put it in our life. Thanks again, and until next time, peace, love, and the Fake Ass Book Club. We out.